Hello, welcome to Createful Art. Today I'm going to show you how to paint these lovely garden carrots. In this lesson I'm also going to teach you about how to create texture and dimension with your shadows and your light. And then I'm going to talk to you about how to gain that creative confidence, and we're going to practice that in this tutorial. So let's get started. First, what you need is a surface to paint on. I'm using an 8 by 8 inch panel. You can use a canvas or paper if you'd like. I like to use heavy body acrylic paints. I'm going to start with my cadmium red light hue, and I'm going to place that color right here. Next, if you have the color set I recommend, then you'll have this Quinacridone Magenta. And if you add white, you make a medium magenta, but I have a medium magenta that's already mixed, so I'm just going to add that right there. And then I'm going to take a primary yellow, it can be cadmium yellow or yellow azo. I'm going to add that right there. You can mix your yellow with your red and get a medium orange. I'm just going to use the orange that I already have mixed up, and I'm going to add that right there. And then I'm going to grab my brilliant blue. The brilliant blue is a primary blue, and so I can mix that color to make all the other colors. I'm going to mix it with my yellow to make the emerald green in that set. If you don't have the emerald green, you can use that. If you do, then you can just put emerald green on your palette. Next, I'm going to use the yellow green. This is a nice lime green. You can make that with your yellow and then add just a tiny bit of green to it. It goes a long way, so you want to have more yellow and you need some white to lighten it. So add white to your palette and then add white to that green, and you will match the lime green. My next color is cobalt turquoise. I'm going to add that to my palette. If you don't have that color, you can mix it with your brilliant blue and a little bit of the yellow. So the next color is purple, which is Quinacridone Blue Violet. You can mix this color with your primary colors, your blue and your magenta, and a little bit of red, and that will get that color. I have listed all the colors and the mixes in the description, and my last color here is Ivory Black. I'm going to add that to my palette, and then I'm ready to start painting. This is the color palette for this month, and so we're going to use this for several of the paintings. I may use all of them or I may not for this specific painting. Grab your 1/2 inch wide brush, and this is what you're going to be using for the background. I'm going to be using the purple in my background. Then I just use random brush strokes to get this purple onto my canvas. If I grab black, it'll also darken that color and make a dark purple. So you can add black wherever you want to in your purple. I'm going to concentrate on the edges. So I'm going to take some of that medium magenta and I'm going to add it to the middle. It's going to soften this color. So in this month's color palette, the purple is actually lighter. So I'm adding a little white to it, and then I'm going to do some color matching. Every Createful Art member gets the colors to match, so you can use that to just make sure that your purple looks like the purple that I sent you. If you haven't gotten that, go ahead and sign up to become a Createful Art member, and then you get weekly art lessons, the reference photos, and then I share with you the monthly theme with the colors that we will be using, and it also helps make each one of these tutorials possible to share on YouTube. So thank you very much if you are a member, and also you will be able to mix these colors anyways with me because I show them to you in the video, but it's just a little added help, and that's what I like to give my members, is added help, bonus content. So I'm going to move to a bigger brush here, and I'm just using a dry brush technique. This is a 1.5 to 2 inch brush, and I'm softening those brush strokes. I'm barely touching the surface, and see how it just blends in those brush strokes. So I'm going to keep blending until I love my background. Keep doing the same, and then we'll go on to the next step. So now it's time to sketch out the composition and sketch these carrots. I'm using a round brush, and I started just above the horizon line and created a line across but slanting a little bit down to the right. And then I'm going to curve the left side around to make a round shape like the end of a carrot. And I'm using just very broken up brush strokes. And I'm at the very end right there on the right is the point of the carrot. And I'm going to create interest by giving it 2 points at the end. The end of the carrot, its roots, has a lighter color, so I'm adding white to my brush and a little bit of yellow just to lighten that color, and I'm going to bring it all the way to the very edge on the right side. And I can pull that other end to the right side as well. The next carrot is going to start around this area, so I don't want them all to line up. I want it to be interesting, so I'm going to create different shapes of these carrots, different lengths of the carrots, different ways that they're laying. So this one, I'm going to create a slanted line. So this carrot's going to slant down to the right. And then I'm going to divide the carrot behind it from the carrot in front of it. So now I just take this line, and notice I'm still creating those blotchy marks. My background is still wet, so it'll mix in with the color of the background. That's okay, that's what I want. And then I just follow the carrot shape going down and then pull it across to the right. So it's a crooked carrot. And I'm going to leave the carrot end right there. So for the next carrot, I'm going to start it just to the left a little bit more, like the carrot, the top carrot. And I'm going to make this one a little skinnier. Notice how I have to go back for orange quite a bit because it's blending with that background. And I don't worry about the purple mixing with the orange, it's just fine. So this carrot, I'm trying to figure out where I want it to go. So I think I'm going to have it just straight across, not touching the other carrot, the other 2 carrots above it. So this is what's fun about composition, is that you just figure it out as you go. You're just sketching, and anything that you don't like, you can just wipe off. So this carrot, I'm just going to make it a little shorter. Now your carrots don't have to match mine exactly. You don't have to copy every one of my brush strokes. So I'm going to create another carrot, right? We're going to create a whole bunch of these carrots. So this one's going to go in further towards the middle, and then I'm just creating that horizontal line, and it's always thicker on the end where those greens come out, and then as it gets to the root, it thins out. So notice I have some places of the carrot that are filled in more than others. The ones at the top, I just created the outline, and I'm starting to fill in the ones on the bottom. You can sketch just the outline of your carrots or fill them in, whatever works for you. The next carrot, I'm going to bring it over to that left side a little more, and then I'm going to have it touching the other carrot. And I think I'm just going to start the process of filling in my carrots. And I want to make sure that I don't have too much space there at the top versus the bottom, but I'm not going to make sure that it's right exactly in the middle either. It doesn't really matter. So this carrot is going to have a crooked end. It's going to lift off of the surface, and then that squiggly line at the bottom. So now I'm going to fill in my carrot. Now notice that the purple does mix with the orange and create this like burnt color, and I want that. That's the whole purpose of doing this over the wet background. So where I add more of the orange and I don't have a lot of brush strokes, that's going to have the more orange. When I have less paint on my brush, it's going to show more of the background color, and if I blend it a little bit more, then the purple starts blending in with the orange some more. So I'm using the orange very chunky like. This is where you get to be creative. You don't have to put the orange color in a specific place or pull that purple in a specific place. I just want you to play around with adding your orange and mixing and getting in texture, and just play around with that and have fun. And don't worry about it looking perfectly like a carrot at this point. Now we're going to add the shadow. So with the same brush, grab some black, and we're going to put the shadow right there. So notice I'm going to pull a line to the left, And then again, I'm being blotchy with my shadow, and I'm going right underneath the carrot. So on the left, that line, that's going to be where the greenery comes out of the carrot. And then right here, down here in the middle of this bottom carrot, I'm going to pull away the shadow from the carrot so it appears like the carrot is coming up. So it is lifting off of the surface, and then it's going to meet the bottom of the carrot. And that's how I'm creating this three-dimensional look in there. So let's go on to the next carrot and make it look a little more three-dimensional. So again, I go under, right under, and I can even put some on the end here, that black. See how it kind of makes it look a little more like a carrot. And then follow underneath, and when I get to the end, that's where I can get creative. I can either pull away from the carrot at the end to make it look like that bottom is lifted, or I can go right up next to it to make it seem like the bottom is flat down onto the table. I can paint the shadow a little thicker, like by pulling the black down. I can start creating the shadow for the carrot tops, the greenery that's going to come out by pulling some black lines over from the left to the carrot, and then just go underneath all the carrots. So if you need to go in between the carrots, as the carrots are touching, you can either leave some of the shadow out, or you can just go right up against the carrot. So notice I did both. I went up against the carrot, and then I also skipped an area. So right here, I'm going to skip more area, just concentrate on the top, bring the lines over, maybe a couple of lines over. So I'm just being really creative, and then I'm going to start my shadow down here, the bottom in between those carrot bottoms. So finish up your shadows and just play around, have fun. You don't have to do it exactly like mine. Your eye will make sense of it. So now I'm going to start filling in more of my carrot. So I will grab from my orange and start filling it in, and also my red. So where I place my red, it's going to have a little bit more coverage, and it's also not quite the color of a carrot. So I don't want to add too much of it. So you can go from carrot to carrot, just adding a little bit of that red color. Now I'm going to mix some of that orange color with some white to create a more opaque paint. And that light color is really going to show. It's going to be bright. And since the paint underneath, that orange paint, is still wet, it's going to blend. So the more I work with it, the more it blends. The more that I just blotch it down, the less it blends. So I'm going to add in some areas, and this is going to be the highlighted areas, so where the light is touching. So because this carrot isn't a smooth carrot, I'm going to show that there's gaps between where the light is touching, and I focus a lot more where the light's touching at the bottom. Even if the light isn't touching the bottom, there's also the fact that carrots at the bottom where the roots are coming out are a lighter color. So I can do both ways. So I'm going to concentrate on this lower part of the carrot, the next carrot down, and I'm going to go from one carrot to the next. If I want to reshape the carrot, I can do that right now. I can create the edge to be a little bit more straight or more smooth, or make the carrot appear more bumpy by skipping areas. So I'm going to go down to this next carrot and focus on the light hitting the middle of this carrot. And I just go from carrot to carrot, doing the same thing. So let your layers dry before you go on to this next step. Now I'm creating a orange-yellow color, so I'll mix my orange with yellow, and it's going to be a more transparent color. And that means that it'll still show some of the underneath color, but it's not going to mix with the underlayers because those underlayers are now dry. So what this will do is this will soften the carrots, blend them a little bit more so they're not so rough. And I can choose where I add this color, which is the main color of the carrot. I want to be careful that I don't add too much of that color so that now I've made the carrot look too smooth. But I can always go over the top of it at the end and add in more details and more of that purple on top. So here, let me show you just a little bit right now that I can add in some of that purple right back in to get that rough texture. So I'm going to add in some of the lines that I took out. It's a balance between getting the color correct and then getting the texture correct. So now just add that orange yellow color to the rest of your carrots, just in the places that you feel like there really isn't a right or a wrong spot. Just play around. You can look at my reference photo to help you. You can also use the carrots from your own garden or that you can get at the grocery store, the farmer's market. So this is the spot, you know, in all of my tutorials where you get to be creative, and you can look at my reference photo to help you, but I want you to feel like letting go a little bit here and getting into what is called the flow of your painting, where you're adding marks and it becomes intuitive to your feelings. So you're looking at what you like. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, don't. And you're going along with your own feelings, not trying to copy the picture exactly or do what I'm doing exactly. So allow yourself to get into that flow by letting go of that need. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next step. You cannot build that creative confidence if you don't practice it. So that's why, as your art teacher, I'm asking you to let go a little bit right now and to just play. So now it's time to add on the carrot tops. Go ahead and just grab your lime green here. Follow that top black line to the carrot. And then I grab my emerald green and I'm going to go right underneath that to create some dimension. And you can also grab some yellow and go on top to create a more yellow carrot top. So do you see that black line that's underneath that carrot? See, that's the shadow of that carrot top. There's purple in between that, and that's what creates the dimension, because that now looks like it's above the table. So when you go and you paint that next line, make sure that there's purple in between. The less purple, that means that that carrot top is closer to the surface. So sometimes there's two things coming out of the top of a carrot. Sometimes there's multiple. So I'm just adding in how many that I want. The next thing to consider is the texture. So sometimes they're nice and smooth, and sometimes they're a little rough or skipping parts. And so you can decide on the variety you want to give them. Next thing to consider is the shadow and the light. So make sure that you have some shadow showing at the top of the carrot, because it's dirty and there's also, it goes in. Carrot tops also have some greenery coming out, so if it has a long carrot top or carrot thing, it's going to end up having the leaves coming at the end of it. So notice how this carrot's far away from the edge, and so there's going to be a long line from the top of the carrot to the edge, and so there are going to be some carrot top leaves showing. So I don't go all the way to the top of my carrot because I want to have that shadow look, and I just pull in and try to copy the texture that I'm seeing in the carrot tops. That's really all I do. So just notice the variety I added there at the bottom. So you had the top ones that were just lines going across, and then the bottom ones started to show a little bit more, and that adds more interest to your painting. Anywhere you want to add a little texture, your eye will make sense of it. See how I just added that in the top? I got rid of the smooth, perfect line, and your eye still makes sense of it. So don't worry about it so much. Just go with the flow here, and then you can always add in more black or shadow area in the end. So now we're getting to the part where it's all about details and personal preferences. So notice how my painting can be done right now. So can yours. Or you can add in more details if you want to go that route, or you can make it a little more impressionistic by adding in some more loose, rough brush strokes or different colors that are playful. Whatever you want to do, this is the time to do it. Whenever you add in more layers or more details, it starts going towards realism, so you can find your sweet spot, whether you like it more realistic or impressionistic. When you love your painting, that's when you sign your work. I'm going to use magenta. This was really fun to paint. I hope you had just as much fun as I did, and I hope you learned a lot from this lesson. You can learn a lot by watching. If you painted along, share it with me on Instagram by tagging @CreatefulArt. Help me make more videos and get notified whenever I make a new one by hitting that subscribe button and the bell next to it. If you love this tutorial, hit that like button and share it with your family and friends on social media. You can also sign up for weekly art lessons by clicking up there at the right-hand corner. You also get reference photos, full tutorials, and more bonus content. Members help make these videos possible to be shared on YouTube with all of you, so thank you very much for helping to support, and you can watch more videos, and I'll see you in my next video.